It's September 17th once again, which I've dubbed Vigilante Day, since it's the day Lord Clyde travels back in time to the year 1977 in order to fight the Vigilantes in the events of Second Offense. 3 years ago today, I released the 3.0 tier list for Second Offense, and with my subscriber count being awfully close to 2,000 at time of recording and V8 Day approaching, I knew I had to make something good. When rewatching my most popular video, the tier list I made for the first game, I realized what needed to be done. Half of these rankings aren't even correct. What on earth was I thinking? I said to myself. So yet again, I'm cleaning up one of my old tier lists to try and get it right this time around. Rules for this one are pretty simple. Since there's no survival, except on the 64 port, I'll only be taking a quest and counter multiplayer into example. The rankings are decided by a number of factors including damage and accuracy for the specials, plus handling and speed for the cars. I'll be using the star ranking system I've come to enjoy throughout my tier list videos to streamline the statistics of each entry. So specials first and then the characters after, so with 13 contestants lined up, let's start from the bottom as always, and work our way up.
Bombs away!
How I rated this third last in the first video is beyond me. Loki runs the Scatter Missiles, a set of 3 missiles that when fired will fly throughout the air overhead the targeted opponent. Once it reaches, it drops its payload in the form of a cluster bomb, dropping 5 directly down onto the target. Or at least, that's what it does on paper. However, in practice this thing aims about as well as a stormtrooper. There is a very good reason that this thing is sitting on the bottom of the tier list, and that's because it's the least accurate special in the game, which is saying something when every single special has at least some accuracy problems. Even when the target is stuck in a bear hug mine, this stupid goddamn missile still manages to miss. To top it off, even if you somehow manage to get a hit, the damage isn't anything impressive, and despite it flying through the air, it's not a map wide like Slick's or Dave's, so it gets beaten out in every single category. Sorry Nax, you can defend this thing all you want, but I do not fear something that cannot hit me.
Basequake!
Great for a technical showcase, but not for a fight. John Torque uses his powerful Basequake, a 3-ammo shockwave that sends out a ring of sound that damages and pushbacks any nearby targets. After that, it bends and twists the surrounding ground that knocks enemies into the air and does a number on any of the map destructibles nearby. This special's greatest asset is in its capabilities as a defensive weapon. It pushes away anyone trying to get too close and disorients them. It also destroys projectiles both around and above, so good luck trying to use crater makers against this thing. However, there's a very interesting feature that I doubt was intentional, was how this special interacts with the Halo decoy combo. Due to coding, the special simply targets John himself when activated. However, if a Halo decoy is fired, then the shockwave comes from the decoy and not from John. This can be used to either close the distance on an enemy John Torque, or you can use it as John and set up a quick trap. While which is hilarious, it's not exactly deadly unless you push him into environmental hazards. If this was Twisted Metal and we had death pits, this thing might see more use, but for now it's just kind of a mediocre special that has some funny interactions.
Swarm!
There is more than meets the eye with this special. Beeswax uses, well, bees. His Gamma Swarm special holds 3 lots of swarms that seek out the targeted opponent. When they make contact, they lift the target, doing minor damage. However, since it's a tracking weapon, this can be easily fooled by a Halo decoy. So on the surface, this special doesn't look that interesting. The range is a bit limited, since you want to get the full potential, you need to use it in close or medium range, and it has some good defensive capabilities like distracting a tailgater. Unfortunately, the damage is pretty mediocre, unless you add something with it. The problem here is that it lifts the opponent up, which means it hits fewer times, resulting in a lower damage output. But if you add to, say, a bear hug or a tight area with a low ceiling, what would happen? That's right, you'd increase your damage output tenfold, and the result would be something like this. Granted, there aren't a ton of spots you can do this naturally, and any human player after being caught in it once won't get tricked a second time, but bear hugs still do a good enough job, and it gives some much needed utility for this special weapon. Still no higher than C, however, due to the short range and weakness to Halo decoys.
Steel belter?
After watching Rubber, I now both respect and fear this special. Convoy rocks the Steel Belter, 3 tires loaded with dynamite and homing devices. Once fired, these tires will bounce along the ground, continually tracking the target with each bounce. Once it gets close enough, it detonates its payload, doing variable damage depending on how direct of a hit that it landed. Originally, I didn't think much of this special weapon due to the lackluster tracking, however this thing works fantastic in close or medium range where the tracking doesn't really come into play that much. You can even directly lob this thing into the target if you're sitting at the right distance, and the damage this thing does is nothing to sniff at. Hell, you can just about special only the quest mode if you didn't have to fight on Canyonlands. Outside of the medium range, they do lose effectiveness, especially on maps with large height differences like Canyonlands or Ghost Town. However, on open flat maps like Aircraft Graveyard or Secret Base, you can still manage a long-range shot thanks to the 30-second timer that the tire has, forcing your opponent to move constantly and not approach you unless they have a few dozen decoys stored up. While I can't rank this thing any higher, I would like to mention I personally love using this special as it's hilarious to watch it in action, and while that's not worth much tier list wise, it's still fantastic to me.
Invasion!
The original and still superior version of the special weapon. Dave strapped a radar dish to his roof and we know it as the Invasion. A space saucer summoning spectacular special. It holds 3 charges and each time it calls down 3 UFOs onto the target for about 8 seconds. During this time, the UFOs will batter and bruise the target, doing minor damage and knockback, but horizontally, not vertically, like Gamma. Unlike Gamma though, this special has quite a few advantages over it, like how the range is almost map-wide since it summons near the target and not near the player, and the UFOs can actually block someone from using a Halo decoy, though if they use it preemptively, well, there's no stopping that. You can also whammy with this special, though it's very tricky to do so due to the UFOs blocking and knocking the target, but much like Gamma, this special gets much stronger when used in a bear hug mine. Used in conjunction with a stage hazard, then that's almost certain death. Despite the great situational usage, you won't be using it like that very often since it still has the longest cooldown of any special, plus a low ammo count makes it not as useful as the rest of the specials on this list.
Tantrum!
The old reliable. Simple, yet effective. Sheila once again has her Tantrum Gun special, a 50 ammo, fast-firing, tracking Gatling gun that does minor damage and knockback with every hit, plus a chance to knock off the weapons from your target. Thanks to her special never changing, it's very easy to understand what it does, and it does it well. A high whammy potential, great for keeping targets away from you or to disorient them. The stripping of weapons is unique to her and this game, and can be very annoying to fight against. She does have her downsides, of course. The special can be countered by a decoy, and the damage output of this special when compared to the rest is a bit lackluster, even with its whammy potential, since her whammies take a bit to build up, unlike the next specials on this list. He's a long way from the top of the list this time. Boogie is still rocking his Disco Inferno, a 3 ammo disco ball that has a 1-second windup and a 3-second uptime. During this time, it shoots out 12 flares onto a tracked opponent, lifting them up and spinning them around with each consecutive hit, doing a good chunk of damage as well. I might have moved this thing down the list, but it still hits like a truck, and adding to the whammies with cannons or missiles or mortars, this disco is very deadly. Plus, with a 6-second cooldown from firing time to firing time, this thing only has a 2-second window where it's not active, so you can keep up the pressure on an enemy until they pop the decoy. Speaking of decoys, they are a great counter to this special since it has that wind-up time. It uses a lot of projectiles per usage, unlike Sheila's 1-to-1 ratio. But if you don't have a decoy, then don't sweat, since it's impossible to hit a moving target with this special, though that can be said for a lot of the specials in this game. Still a very solid special that you shouldn't take lightly, because if you do, you're going to be partying until you drop dead on the dance floor. Put another Vigi on the Bobby. Hee hee. Oh. Sid Burn's spicy special weapon is the Breath of Fire, a 16 ammo fire-lobbing auto cannon that does afterburn damage and has a small AoE effect. This special shares similarities with the Tantrum gun, like its high rate of fire, high whammy potential, and tracking ability, but unlike Tantrum, it's got a few tricks up its sleeve. Firstly, each shot does more damage individually, so the whammies you do get are much more effective, unlike Sheila, who really needs to build up her whammies to put the hurt on. Sid also has the afterburn damage that can drain health over time and goes through shields, and with the wrenches are few and far between, this adds up over time. Sadly, the afterburn doesn't stack, but instead it resets the timer and it's easily countered by decoys like most specials, but the burst potential puts this thing a step above the rest.
Gridlock!
Man, I love stall mechanics. Chassis Gridlock is a hood-mounted cannon that fires 9 projectiles in a square pattern that spreads out the further the projectiles travel. Upon contact, these will damage and possibly stall an opponent. Since the spread on this special is so severe, it's best used in close quarters where you can also guarantee the stall, and with 5 ammo in the clip plus its fast cooldown means you can keep this on a target before they have time to start their engine again. Interestingly though, since the PAL version actually only has 3 ammo, but the damage total is still the same, so it has higher damage whammies but less total uptime. We'll be judging the NTSC version though, and the main reason this special is high up is due to stall mechanics. Stalling is very powerful since it basically stops your opponent much like a bear hug. However, you can get out of trouble if you use an afterburner. It does semi-track with only about a 45-degree turning radius, which does mean decoys are less effective, but the auto-targeting can suddenly make your gridlock miss its intended recipient. It does still hold a solid whammy potential, which makes this special a solid contender, but the short range holds it back. Kinda like the next special on their lists. More stall mechanics, this time with damage stacking. Mola once again has his smog check, although in the first game here it was actually known as the Bad Day in LA, in reference to the devs being based in California. It still functions similar to the other smog checks, a 40 ammo, rear-facing, fast-firing smoke machine that leaves out a puff of smog that has a 3-second uptime that stalls and damages anyone caught in it. This version, however, doesn't block projectiles like its second offense brother, but it does have one key feature, and it's a damage stack. The damage that a single puff of smog can do is more than you think when it has 3 entire seconds of uptime, so when you add 6 of these on top of each other, you have enough to kill lightweight AIs on unleaded. Hell, cranking it up to even the high octane and they still drop faster than a fly in a bug zapper. You can even get multiple AI if they're unlucky enough to be nearby or in a bear hug. So, box for box, Molo's special out-damages anyone, and with the stalling added in, it's basically a guaranteed kill if you can land it. If being the key word here, however, as it's very short-ranged and it's rear-facing. Plus, with the amount of knockback specials and green combos, it's one of the hardest specials to actually connect with, but it's very rewarding if you manage to pull it off.
Death Ray.
Omar are really good at making special weapons. Houston 3 has been equipped with a Death Ray 3AX, which holds 12 rounds of high-energy lasers that go through walls and even strip power-ups off the target. The Death Ray is in the same vein as Sheila and Sid's special weapons, as it's a simple tracking weapon that has a fast cooldown and high whammy potential, so that begs the question of why it's so much higher than the others. Well, it's down to the utility that this special has. Being able to go through walls, much like Dallas's Mega Collider, means you can't use the map destructibles to hide from it, and since it strips power-ups, this means it can be used against someone who has a double damage, radar jammer, or more importantly, a shield. This allows you to damage an opponent that thinks they're safe, which is a very valuable asset to have. The hit detection can be a bit janky at point-blank range, and it's countered by decoys, but the whammy potential and utility of this special weapon make it a very powerful tool, but pales in comparison to the 2 SS tiers we have coming up next.
Lightning!
Shocking, ain't it? Slick Clyde sure loves his lightning, and the lightning dispensing apparatus that he dubbed as White Lightning is just as powerful as his chain lightning we see later in the series, but for different reasons. Firstly, this 3-charge special fires 3 lightning strikes upon usage each time onto the target, no matter where they are on the map. These strikes are randomly shot down near the target, and if it connects, they damage and stall the opponent. Stalling being the key word here, since if you manage to land at least one of these, you can very quickly follow up with another special thanks to its cooldown of 2 seconds being exactly the same as its 2-second wind-up time. It's very easily avoidable, of course, by either being fast or a decoy, but the pure oppressiveness of this special has no equal thanks to its map-wide range, high damage, and low cooldown. Don't forget though, it's still useful in close quarters too, and you can whammy with it for massive damage or stick him in a bear hug and watch him fry. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Why the alien is also outfitted with seemingly Omar technology, as he's equipped with his own blue laser, which has all the same parameters of the death ray with 2 notable exceptions. Firstly, its aim is terrible and will only hit a target that is slowed down, but when it does hit, it really packs a punch, which leads to the second exception. The damage this thing does is practically double that of the death ray, so add this in with being able to go through walls, remove power-ups, and whammy chains, you have one of the deadliest close-range specials. Though it's easy to hit than Molos, it can still be fooled by decoys or just being fucking fast, so make sure you stay on your toes if your friend decides to play live. Now that we're halfway there, we can showcase the special weapons in their hopefully correct ranked order.
On the wing! On the wing!
Moving on to the characters here, some of them did manage to retain their old rankings, but even minor shifts can still mean a lot, so let's see how things shape up and see where they land this time around. Starting with...
Mayday, mayday, I'm going down!
The second least surprising reveal in this list. Ex-secret base pilot Loki is driving around in a 73 Glen 4x4 that boasts low speed and durability, but a high avoidance in a small frame. Interestingly, Loki actually has exactly the same durability as Houston, but due to the size difference he gets pushed around much more. Plus the handling on this Jeep is absolute ass, so even with that high avoidance and low frame, he doesn't have the speed to make use of it. Add that with the worst performing special weapon and it's no surprise he ends up here. It's kind of funny how he goes from being the worst in this game to the best in V8 Arcade, but that's what happens when you turn yourself into a minion ripoff.
No, the hive must survive!
Well done, Beeswax, you've risen one entire spot. This 70 Stag pickup has the crazy beekeeper Beeswax behind the wheel. The Stag has low speed for above average durability and average avoidance. Unfortunately, the Stag isn't very good, as implied by its D-tier ranking. The handling is better than the Glen, but not by much thanks to the suspension, which tends to make it bounce. He also has the 5th largest frame, making him very easy to hit even with that average avoidance, and he can't escape thanks to his poor speed. His special weapon, however, does save him from being any lower since it has actual applications and can be aggravating to fight against. If you want to annoy the hell out of someone, then jump on the stag and go crazy.
Lights! I see lights in the sky.
Well, at least he's doing better than his Coltsman. Dave's on the hunt for alien life forms, and he's doing it in his 70s van. The speed and avoidance are both low, but it does have some decent durability, clocking in as the 4th most durable, beating out other midweights like John and Beeswax. He unfortunately also has the 4th largest hitbox, and with that low speed and low avoidance, it's very easy to hit Dave. Plus, with his poor handling not making it any easier, you're going to need to rely on long-range combat or Halo decoys to fight effectively. Thankfully, Dave does have a strong long-range special, so he's at the very least viable on maps healthy in specials like Ghost Town or Secret Base. But put a Dave in Canyonlands and he'll be hung out to dry.
Somebody's dealing dirty cards. Shoot, man, I should have bet red.
You gambled and you lost, John. Maybe next time. The enforcer for the Vigilantes and gambling man John Torque is riding in his 69 Jefferson, which boasts some well-rounded stats. Average speed, durability, and avoidance made John a jack of all trades, much like Nina's El Guerrero from Second Offense. Thanks to these stats and John's wide wheelbase, he handles fairly well, but struggles to keep up with the lightweights in speed and can't quite slug it out with the heavies. His special weapon is great for keeping people off you, but doesn't have a ton of killing potential, which holds him back. I guess you could say he won the jackpot, jumping in that Thunderbolt and the Wheel of Fortune for the sequel.
Get to the back of my bus, haha!
Despite a smaller cast, Molo is still somehow B-tier number 3. This 66 school bus has a 16-year-old Molo behind the wheel. As you'd guess, the bus has the best durability of any character, but at the cost of the worst speed and avoidance. Molo does have one other trick up his sleeve, thankfully, and that's the fact he can do a handbrake turn on a fucking dime thanks to David Goodrich just wanting to do donuts while blasting the special. So if he has great durability, handling, and a deadly special weapon, how did he end up so low on the list? Well, that's down to the simple fact that for special versus special, he's countered by a majority of the cast. No, seriously, a ton of specials either have knockback or stalling built in. The only ones that don't are Sid, Loki, Houston, and technically why? That leaves 8 other characters that can knock you around like they're the schoolyard bullies and not you. Plus, let's not forget Cowpuncher and Roadrunner exist too. With such a massive frame and low avoidance, it's harder to miss than to actually hit you. Due to the fact Molo has a close range special and is very easily knocked back, this makes the special even harder to land than normal. Honestly, give the special to someone like Sid and it would be an absolute terror, but for now it's stuck on this big fat sucker of a school bus.
Hey, let's get wild, okay?
She beats out her Wonder Wagon, that's for sure. The young and rebellious Sheila is rocking up to the Auto Wars in her 74 Strider in order to impress her Uncle Convoy, and it's certainly got potential. While she does have a low speed and lowest durability, the Strider makes up for this by having the highest avoidance and some of the best handling of any car. It has more pickup and go compared to Loki, so she can actually make use of her avoidance, plus her special weapon could be an absolute nuisance, knocking people around and detaching their weapons. She performs well on any map that only has a small selection of specials like Hoover Dam, but struggles on maps like Ghost Town since she maxes out her ammo after only 2 boxes. She's still a solid pick, however, and emphasizes the hit-and-run strategy more than anyone else. Though this next contestant loves doing that too.
Whoa, let's move to the groove!
The Funk Man has certainly fallen from grace. Disco Man Boogie is partying in his 76 Leprechaun, one of the newest model cars to actually be in the Auto Wars. The Leprechaun boasts similar speed to Sheila but has slightly more armor for the 2nd highest evasion stat. While Boogie doesn't quite handle as well as Sheila, he beats her out thanks to his powerful special weapon. His special weapon puts people on high alert the second it's fired, and you better hope you got a decoy or some speed on your side, or the Funk Man is going to tear you up like the dance floor. Thanks to his small size, you won't be pushing him away, but you can still outspeed him, so make sure to catch Boogie in a bear hug to end the party early.
Ain't nothing on that can stop a convoy.
Convoy in A tier? It's more likely than you think. The lead vehicle of the Vigilantes is none other than Convoy in a 72 Moth truck, boasting an above-average speed and the 2nd highest durability at the cost of terrible avoidance. Despite Convoy having the third largest frame, he's deceptively fast. Thanks to this, Convoy is excellent at ramming damage. Not to mention his great handling means not even the lightweights will get away with him without a fight. Having great speed and armor despite the mediocre special is much like Padre from Second Offense. However, Convoy's special isn't so much a utility tool, but more of an oppression tool thanks to his long uptime and fast cooldown. Convoy excels on open maps and can happily go without his special. You best fear the leader, cause he packs a hell of a punch.
Let's get on with the mission,
A fast car with a stalling special? Mwah, that's a beautiful recipe. FBI agent and future Hollywood star Chassis Blue is fighting it out in her 67 Rather. As expected, it has fantastic speed and above average avoidance at the cost of being one of the weakest durability-wise. Like most fast cars, she handles well, and thanks to her special weapon, she can get in close very quickly and shut you down with a single well-placed shot. She's also hard to push back thanks to her smaller size, but once you do catch her, it's lights out for the Rattler. Just do your best not to get caught and maximize the stalling time in your special. You should be just fine.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Flames on a car? I mean, how can you go wrong? Arsonist and Australian man Sid Byrne is getting paid by Omar to wreck shit, and he's gonna do it with the help of his 69 Manta. This baby has the best speed in the game while still boasting average armor and average avoidance. His actual avoidance might look low, but Sid's so fucking fast he easily makes up for it. It's kinda like the Obaki effect, but not as severe. Unlike Obaki, he's in an actual fucking car, which means he handles well, or in this case excellently, as Sid has handling on par with Sheila. Add this in with a strong special weapon and you've got the recipe for success. Though he does miss out on S tier due to his special lacking behind the others, but he's still a barrel of laughs. Hee oh.
Program complete, baby. Why am I doing this?
Not as strong as her Samson, but it'll get the job done. Omar's Biobot Project number 3, Houston is given the keys to a 75 Palomino and told to hunt down the Vigilantes, and this thing can certainly do the job. Excellent speed with average durability and avoidance means this thing has no clear downsides. It handles well too, and strapped to the side as a special weapon is a great tool for many occasions. So it's no surprise that Houston is in our top 3 when you've got someone with no obvious flaws. Play her well and she'll treat you right.
Looks like you really stepped in it this time, hoss.
Second place yet again, huh, Clyde? Not much was known about Playboy Slick Clyde, but he really hates when his 70 Clydesdale gets bullet holes in it. Thankfully, it's built to quality with its great speed, solid durability, and average avoidance. The Clydesdale is also higher off the ground than most others, so he handles excellently, being able to go pretty much anywhere he wants. But solid stats only get you so far, that's why John was stuck in situ. What truly makes you special is your special weapon, and as we discussed, Slick's Lightning is shockingly good. Clyde can adopt a run-and-gun strategy or get in your face. Either way, he's happy, so it's very difficult to go up against him. The only tip I have is never stop running, or make sure you get a decoy handy, otherwise you're gonna get fried.
Take me to your leader, Earthling.
And now for the least shocking placement in this video. Yes, Y retains his top spot once again thanks to just how busted the 64 Luxo Saucer really is. I mean, when you have maximum speed, high durability, and the fact it can fucking fly, I mean, it's really no contest. But does flying come into play, I hear you ask? Well, on 7 of the 11 maps, flying is useful in one way or another, thanks to the steep slopes on these maps, making traversal a breeze, and you're able to grab power-ups and weapons that a lot of the cast struggle with. He has his downsides, of course. His massive size means he's easy to hit despite the speed, and he has trouble maneuvering into tight spaces like between the trees on Valley Farms, for example. Plus, his special weapon will tear anyone to shreds if it manages to connect, but even without it, he still has the speed and size to ram damage anyone caught in his path. So even after all this time, Y is still busted. I mean, who would have guessed that the character that only got added in at the last stages of development wouldn't be balanced? Shocking, I know. Well, that just about covers it. I've hopefully cleaned up a lot of the mistakes I made in the previous list, and I don't need to make a 3.0 list like I did with the Second Offense videos. Future tier lists will probably be few and far between from this point, since I've just about covered everything in this series, from characters to specials to combos and even the maps. If you want to make your own, then the link is down below as always. That's all from me. See you fuckers in a week.
Ha!